Good evening and welcome. I'd like to call the order the Pennsylvania County Board of Supervisors work session Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024 at 4 p.m. in the board meeting room at 39 Bank Street, Southeast Chatham, Virginia. Ms. McCluster, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Dudley.
Present.
Mr. Height.
Here.
Mr. Ingram.
Here.
Mr. Whittle.
Here.
Mr. Tucker.
Here.
Mr. Dalton.
Here. Moving to item 3. Are there any items to be added to the agenda? All right, not hearing any, we'll move to item 4. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ingram, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Height. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, we're ready to vote. All right, motion carries unanimous. For the citizens' convenience, all work sessions and committee meetings are now being recorded and can be viewed on the county's Facebook as the same as the YouTube located on the Board of Supervisors business meetings. Please remember that the board's work session is designed for internal board, county staff, communication, discussion, and work. It is not a question and answer session with the audience. Accordingly, during the work session, no questions or comments from the audience will be entertained. Respectfully, any outburst of disorderly conduct from the audience will not be tolerated and may be in the results of the offending person removal from the work session. As a reminder, all county citizens and other appropriate parties as designated by the board's bylaws are permitted to make the comments on the hearing of the citizens sections of tonight's business meeting. We move into item 5A. We have an after-school child care pilot program. It's going to be Mr. Price and Ms. Myers. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Board of Supervisors, for having us to come and talk with you about our pilot program for after-school child care. Get this up real quick. So just to give you a little purpose overview of what we're going to talk about today, the objective of this program is to introduce a pilot after-school program at Kentuck Elementary on January 6th of 2025, so this upcoming winter semester. It'll address the need and... Is the mic not working? My bad. I'm pretty loud. So, it'll address the need for quality after-school care and enrichment activities in the community. And some key topics that will be discussed will be how the program idea originated, current planning status, program details such as budget, registration, legal, things of that sort, daily schedule, and then the future goals for the program. So you're probably wondering, how did this idea come about? Back in November of 2023, Dr. Jones reached out to county staff, Parks and Recreation. He is a part of the Partnership for Regional Prosperity group, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. I think it's built of, superintendents from both county, city manager, county administrators, and prominent people around the region to kind of, what can we do to make our region better? And one of the things that came out of that was there's not an after-school child care program in the county at any of our schools. So we started to talk, and he had gathered some insights from Roanoke County. Their department is quite large, but they do have some after-school programs around there. And for those of you that may not know, Parks and Recreation is known as a broader thing. We do after-school programs around the state. So we were able to he talked to them, and he brought us in and said, hey, what do you think about running a pilot program, and if we offered Kentuck Elementary School to try it out? And we said, well, first, with this being starting from the ground up, we really need to do a feasibility study kind of research this. What's it going to look like? You know, what are the legal things that we have to do? Do we have to be licensed? Different things like that. And Ms. Myers is going to explain a lot of the process here in a few minutes. And then I reached out to some of my contacts in Danville, Parks and Recreation. They have ran after-school programs for about 20 years, plus years. So we were able to kind of see what those programs look like, how they do registration, how they communicate, and it gave us some really good insight. As I said, Ms. Myers has been instrumental in this process. She has researched this and done a great job building the program. And I would also like to recognize Ms. Ann Cassida, the former assistant superintendent for the county. She has been helpful in us learning how child care in the school may work, and she's been very helpful in us planning this process. So you may be asking why, too. How did this come about? And so this is just a map that Virginia Tech did a study, and this for the regional prosperity group, a child's after-school child care needs assessment. And so this map was recreated by Barry, our GIS guy, because we wanted to kind of point it out. So mainly everything you see on there is a school, either private or public, or Virginia preschool, private or public. There are a few licensed family daycares, and there are a few licensed child daycares, and a couple of Head Start programs. So there isn't a lot of child care, whether it be after school or full-time child care around the county anyway. So child care as a whole is a need, not just after school. This is one that I found very interesting from their study. They asked parents to indicate their top needs, and after school, child care was the top need of that respondents. Next will be full-time child care. So that 3 to 6, that 3 to 5 range where, mom and dad are working 9 to 5, having somebody for those to keep their kids in a safe space, but at the same time, not just child care, but to teach, help do some tutoring, health and wellness aspects of it, STEM lessons. And so we built a program that's not just going to be a child care, hey, we're going to watch your kid throw a ball, go play. It's going to be built of class time such as tutoring. The schools are going to partner with us to offer tutoring. They're also going to offer snacks. The schools are going to do that for us as well. And Kelsey will get into a little bit more of that. But I just thought, if you would have asked me, I thought full-time child care would be number one, but no, it is certainly, to their study, after school. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kelsey Myers. As I said, she has done a ton of research and helped build this program. And if you would, she's going to go over it, and then we'll come back up and if we have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Welcome, Ms. Myers. Welcome.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to say that since February of this year, I've had the privilege of participating in the DRF's Out-of-School Time Learning Lab, where I've gained valuable insights into how we can successfully implement an after-school program in our county. With this knowledge, we sent out a survey to hear directly from parents at Kentuck to see what their insights were, if this is the actual need that they would like to have. One of the first questions that we asked was, if a child care program was established at Kentuck Elementary, how likely are you to enroll your child? Out of 107 responses, we got 42% that said most definitely, while around 40% said maybe, and 18% said not at all likely. So obviously you can see there's a big need for that from them. Another question that we asked is payment. So what is the maximum amount you would willing to pay a week per child? Out of 86 responses, we had about 85% select $50 to $60 a week, and then as you can see, we have 9% and 6% going for 60 and above. With that feedback from parents, we had strong interest in a need for an affordable after-school program. After gathering input from them, we focused on understanding the requirements and best practices for running a successful after-school program. Our research helped us define the key elements needed to ensure that the program operates efficiently, is safe for children, and meets local standards. Licensing requirements. So as a local government program, we aren't required to be formally licensed. but we still have to submit an exemption form to the Virginia Department of Education. This ensures that even without formal licensing, we are meeting the necessary regulations and standards for safety and operation. We have submitted that, and we have received back confirmation, so that is approved for the spring 2025 school year. Maintaining proper supervision is critical for an environment of this kind. We did learn that the child-to-staff ratio needs to be 12-1, which we will adhere to throughout the program to ensure every child receives appropriate attention and care. And we will ensure that there is an extra staff member on site when the program begins to ensure that we will have that extra person in case of emergencies. Thanks to our collaboration with Pittsylvania County Schools, snacks and certified tutors that will be provided during the program. In emergency procedures, safety is a top priority, which is why all staff will be trained in CPR, first aid, and other necessary safety protocols. Once we had a clear understanding of the key requirements for implementing the program, we also needed to ensure that it was financially sustainable. Our goal was to balance affordability for families while ensuring fair compensation for our staff and covering the necessary expenses to keep the program running smoothly. We've set a one-time registration fee of $90, which will cover both the first and last weeks of the program. Additionally, the weekly rate will be around $55 per child, making it competitive with other local after-school programs, which typically charge about $65 a week. This pricing is designed to keep the program affordable while still covering essential costs. For staff, we wanted to make sure we attract and retain quality staff, so we've established competitive pay rates. Attendants will earn between $17 and $18 per hour, and on-site supervisors will be compensated at $19 to $20 per hour. We believe this reflects a fair wage for the responsibilities involved. Staff members will typically work 3 to 4 hours per week, with extended hours between 5 and 6 on early dismissal days. This schedule provides flexibility while ensuring that children are supervised and supported throughout this program. So this program is designed to offer a variety of enrichment activities that will help children grow academically, creatively, and physically. As you can see, we have homework, tutoring support, STEM activities, recreational time, and arts and crafts. And here's an example of a daily schedule. You'll see there that we've tailored it to accommodate to each one. That way it is not just a babysitting program, but it is there to help academic-wise, social-wise, and much more. As far as our next steps, applications will be open on October 1st. And we would like to state that even though completing an application, it does not guarantee a spot in the program, since we do have to have a minimum to enroll and be able to start in January. As for required forms, after the application process, we will start the registration process. If we do get the correct amount, or if our maximum right now is 36, that we can enroll. If we happen to get more than that, we will have to select based off of a lottery system or drawing to make sure it's all done fairly. And some important dates that we have would be, obviously October 1st would be applications, but the registration deadline for that would be November 15th, and then the program start date of January 6th of 2025. We are dedicated to providing a valuable and enriching experience for the children in our community, and we're looking forward to getting started. Thank you all for your time and attention today. Your support and involvement are crucial to the success of this program. I'd like to invite Justin back up to share a few final thoughts and wrap up our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we hope that this was some good information for you. I do want to open it up to any questions you may have, and then hopefully we can answer them.
Gentlemen, y'all got a question? Mr.
Yeah.
Height? Yes, sir.
What was the number of children you say you're going to try to have for the first?
So this time, when we
Period.
first started planning this and it being a pilot program, we went with the number 36, which should be 12 to 1. So we're going to take a maximum of 36. Now, once we see that this can be successful, then that number may change to the amount that we can offer, and maybe one day the hope is we figure this thing out and we start branching it out. Some may ask why Kentuck. That was the place that Dr. Jones offered up to start with, but I know that his hope is that we figure this out, run a great program, and we start getting this into our elementary schools all over the county.
A couple other questions. For the first go-round, are we going to have anything available for any special needs children?
So we would be an inclusive program to that. So we wouldn't prevent that. So then we would, if that came up, we would come up with a plan to work with that child and yes.
Right. Okay. Good. And my last question, as far as would the county have insurance to cover these kids of accidents or?
Yes, if the board is in support of this program, then it would fall under our liability insurance. Is that correct, Baden, I think?
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Height. Any further questions? Mr. Ingram?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good job. I appreciate that because it's an absolute need. With your standard daycare programs, they have a host of permits and licenses they have to obtain. Why is local government exempt from that?
I'm not sure why we're exempt, but according to the Department of Education, we are allowed to apply for an exemption. But with that exemption, even though we are exempt, we still will follow the regulations. But I would have to get that answer to find why that stipulation's in there.
I was just wondering, this learning process, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's a code? It's code. It's in the code? It's code.
Okay.
Mr. Bowman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great presentation. I echo that it is needed, and I appreciate the pilot program. You mentioned in the beginning about a feasibility study. Are we getting out ahead of ourselves with having this, which is going to start soon before the feasibility study?
So we conducted our own in-house feasibility study. I should preface that. So
Okay.
when I say feasibility study, more of like a research of how can we feasibly do this with what we have, and how is that going to look? And so, once we got this, it's been about a year long, almost a year long since this conversation started of us researching it, reaching out on how these programs look. Kelsey has participated, as she said, in the DRF program, they've been in support of this program as well, the out-of-school learning lab. So that was done on our own, and we found pretty quickly that there was a need for it, and we do feel that we can do this and be successful, and it be a quality program and affordable.
Okay, and follow on. And you already have staff lined up?
So that's ready. As soon as we get your blessing, that's going to be rolling out. So, and we've been in contact with the schools, and we're hopeful even at Kentuck that some of those teachers, younger teachers or want a little extra income, maybe teachers' aides, we're going to hopefully be able to get some of them to apply for this.
Okay, all right, that's all I've got for right now. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Bowman. Any
Chair-
further questions? Mr. Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, great presentation. A couple things, I think Mr. Height asked the question. The county has that exposure, but we have, the liability. Now, this being a pilot program exclusively for after school, can you maybe stress that there is still a need for full-time daycare, and, it doesn't preclude someone that's interested in opening possibly, a daycare? Okay.
Absolutely not. This is after school, the 3 to 6 time frame, and as you could look on that map, mainly our child care right now is our schools when our kids are in school. We don't have a lot of child care, so we definitely need full-time childcare in Pennsylvania County. Yes, sir.
I get it. My last question, I guess, is, now this being a pilot program, you're going to run it for this particular calendar year for school. Foreseeably, it's going to be successful. What would be the rate of opening this program in other elementary schools across the county?
That would be a conversation that we would have with Dr. Jones. I've thought about it myself on how we would go from that to figure out where we would go next. I don't know that we could just say, hey, we're going to open it up at all schools next year, but is there a way that we can talk with Dr. Jones and see where the need is most, where we can start branching out to that area? So I know, for instance, and Kelsey, correct me if I'm wrong, Gretna, I think the YMCA comes to Gretna Elementary. The Alta Vista YMCA comes to Gretna Elementary. So they have a program going on right now that we might be able to go out to Mount Airy first, or, Union Hall, or some of these others that may not. So, but we would depend on, in my opinion, I would ask for his guidance and help of where we should go next. But I do think either one or two at a time type deal, branching out and over the next 5 years or so would be the kind of an ideal.
Yes, sir. The reason I asked the question is I hope, in their, I guess, planning, they kind of take a look at some of the elementary schools and the SOL scores of those
Yes.
schools that are maybe struggling, and maybe see if they can give them a little bit of assistance with not only afternoon daycare, but if you're going to use it in conjunction with tutoring.
Yep.
That would be my only ask.
Okay. Yeah, I can certainly, and that's one thing that we hope to gain. The partnership with schools is going to be key, because there is going to be that opportunity. So the tutors will be certified tutors and paid by the schools. And so they won't actually be, they'll come in for that certain amount of time. Those children that need the extra help and sign up, that's when they'll come in and do that. But I do think that's a great point, is maybe, let's also look at maybe where they need the extra tutoring help and things like that. So certainly I will do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Any further questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Yep. Yes, sir, Mr. Whittle.
Thank you for what you're doing, but how are you going to take 36 kids if you have 50? How are you going to weed them out?
Say again, sir.
If you're going to have 36 kids, is what you said, and you have 50 signing up for it, how are you going to distinguish who gets in there?
So we had decided, and Dave and I had talked, and Kelsey, there's a way where we could do a lottery to where it'd be maybe a random select.
I'm sorry.
A random select or things like that. We could, there's a couple of options we could do. We thought the fairest way would be random select, but you could do first come, first serve as well. So, but I think for the most part, random select is the way we were going to do it.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Whittle. Any further questions?
I don't have any.
Mr. Pryor, I have a question, sir.
Whoop.
This pilot program, is this just going to be for the Kentuck schools?
Just for the Kentuck
No
schools.
other children in the county can go there?
Just Kentuck this time around, and that's just to make, so the hope is we're successful, and I feel we will be successful at this program as we branch it out. And this is just an identifier, and the first school that Dr. Jones is like, let's try to do it here and see how it goes. But the hope is, and I'm sure that we've heard, is to grow this thing into hopefully one day being in all our elementary schools.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
one final question, because I'm trying to get some insight based on what Mr. Whittle was asking. You're saying those that would be allowed into the program, you're thinking a lottery system. And I think in one of the slides, Ms. Myers, I believe it is, presented,
Yes.
it was like a 1 to 12 teacher-student ratio, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have to have one So the minimum standards we have to meet is 1 to 12. So if we have 36 kids, the minimum standard would be 3 staff on site.
Right, I get
Are
it.
good. So yes.
So that's where I'm going. Do you have enough staff to be able to handle what you have signed up so that you don't have to turn anyone away?
That's our plan. No, not yet, but that's
I'm
why.
not trying to pin you down, but
Yeah.
I'm just asking a question to.
So this is, that's why it is a pilot program. I would say that's why we named it a pilot program, is because, yes, we're doing this and we don't know what the registration's going to be. I would love to tell you that we're going to have 36 kids. I think we're going to get 36 kids just by the numbers I've seen. But we can all know that just because people say, yes, we would love to have this, when it comes time to register, they don't. And so that's going to be something we're going to have to look at and figure out, and it may require some of us, having to step into those roles if it comes to it. And we're prepared to do that. So.
Okay. Just a little concerned about your coverage.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bowman.
Just one follow-on, and Mr. Tucker, he made me think of this one right here. So are there any other localities that are doing this already that have a program in place, not necessarily pilot, but have a program in place so you can actually maybe go visit?
Oh, yeah, we've been to Danville. We went to Danville and visited theirs and talked with them when we first even looked at doing this. We went and looked at their program. We've had some conversations with Roanoke. Ms. Cassida, I think it was North Carolina, provided us a program plan from them. So that's where kind of we've molded this out of all of their programs.
Good.
And so, that was key for us because, this is new territory. And so the best way to figure out how to do some of these things is see how your counterparts are doing them in other localities.
Good. Good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowman. Any further questions? Thank y'all, good
I
job.
appreciate each of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, we're moving to item 5B, Virginia Department of Health funding. It's Ms. Vanderhyde. Welcome.
Good afternoon. As always, I'm here before you asking about some money. So we received a request from the Health Department, and many of you, if you've been on the board before, know that each year the Health Department will come back to us to ask for any year-end settlement funds that they have remaining. In the last few years, we have not accepted their request. We've actually received those funds back into our coffers. So I am here with their request, and you all can have a discussion after that and determine if you want to return those or not. So the email that I received said that they were currently in their year-end settlement for the central office of the Financial Management Office. Our preliminary data shows that we will have an unexpended available amount from our FY24 Pennsylvania County Health Department funding. This is because of turnover vacancies during the year and slightly higher than projected revenues. At this time, it appears that we will have between $20,000 to $22,000 remaining. Once the Virginia Department Health Office of Management receives our year-end settlement and confirms the data, our request may possibly adjust within those limits. And then they could lock in a firm dollar amount. And they would like to retain those funds to use them for the upcoming FY25 budget to purchase vaccines for the community, such as shingles, hepatitis A and B, Tdap, and rabies. And so we've always brought these requests to you all for you all to listen to and accept or reject those. And so today I'm bringing those before you as their official request.
Mr. Dollar.
Yes, sir, Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Vanderhyde, as I understand it, this board and the previous board, we actually funded or installed an HVAC unit over there. We also purchased a generator, and the generator is there. I don't know that it's connected up, or as I'm getting information, I understand that there's a switch or something that's on back order. Now, the rationale was to purchase that generator was they needed some type of backup to be able to maintain the vaccines on site if the power went down. That being the case right now, I'm going to recommend to the board that we deny their request to refund that money. I am open to possibly down the road in the future, if they have a need to purchase additional vaccines or whatever the case is, I'm open to doing that. But I think we've spent that money and they are making that request, but I don't hear a dire need attached to the request. So I'm going to recommend to this board that we basically bring that money back into the general fund.
I would second that.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Any further discussion? Mr.
Chairman.
Dillon? Go
If
ahead.
I-
Sir,
do I need to make that motion? Go ahead.
thank you, Kim.
I was waiting to see if it was a motion and a second.
Yeah,
I'll let them fix that
you
check,
should
finish
make
that
a
checker game and we'll go on.
Yeah.
You should make a motion, get a second, then you can have discussion, and then you can
Yeah.
make a
Okay.
recommendation.
That's my motion, that we deny the Department of Health's request.
I'll second the motion.
All right.
Yes,
Got a
ma'am.
motion by Mr. Tucker and a second by Mr. Dudley. Now, do we have any further discussion? Mr. Hyde?
Question. This money, this was in the previous budget for them, right?
Correct. And so this is
And they
money
didn't-
that they had left, and when
Left
they
over.
settle with the state, if we deny their request, they have to return that money to us. And so in the past, in the last year, they requested a generator for their part of the building. They also requested resealing the parking lot on their side of the parking lot.
Yep.
And DSS is out there as well.
That's right.
So what we've done with the monies in the past is help to serve the whole building as opposed to just their side of it. So it's been helpful for not just the health department, but also the Department of Social Services.
Like a good neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. Any further questions?
I don't have anything. Thank you, Dale.
Yeah, I
Yes,
got a
sir.
comment. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. We don't have an issue giving the schools money they don't use. We don't have an issue giving the sheriff's department money they don't use. Health department has 20 to 22,000 that they didn't use. And we have an issue with allowing them to use that for vaccines that are going to be needed, probably. We've got a lot of people in this community that are poverty and below. They can't afford to go to doctors and get these shots. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Just to kind of clear it up a little bit, the carryover money for the actual school, that money is encumbered, which means that it's already spent, earmarked for projects. The reason the school board or the school system have the carryover at the level they have it currently is the fact, Mr. Height, that they have to use up some ARPA money, otherwise they will lose that money, and Ms. Vanderhyde can speak to that. The Sheriff's Department or Public Safety, the Sheriff's Department there, they have a real need in terms of being able to, we have this lease, which we will discuss, I think, later, is that right? Or is that a different agenda? But at any rate, we're going to have to lease additional vehicles for the Sheriff's Department. And Ms. Vanderhyde is such a guru with the numbers. Typically with some of his carryover money, we're kind of utilizing some of those funds to be able to source that lease or his vehicles. The health department, on the other hand, as Ms. Vanderhyde just stated, we sealed their parking lot. We put in an HVAC. We also bought a high-dollar generator to not just run the health department side of it, but the entire building over there. So these funds, and I'm right there with you, but in their requests, I don't hear out of that request, and I think we just received an email, is that right? Mm-hmm. There's no one to support the request that's here presently, and out of what they're requesting, I don't hear a reason. Now, I'm with you, and this is why I said earlier that I'm open to, down the road, if the need arises, to purchase more vaccine. Right now, the generator that we have paid for is just, it's there, it's ready to be plugged up, but through no fault of the counties, through no fault of the health departments, the piece that they need to get us going is on back order. Mm-hmm. Now, if they said they were going to take the $22,000 or whatever that number is, and they were going to purchase additional vaccines, and they had a feasible way of storing it, I'm all in. I'm giving it to them. But right now, they cannot, if the power goes out for an extended period of time, they're going to lose the vaccine and the other medications that they currently have on hand. That's why my recommendation was to bring that money back in. That's where I'm coming from, sir.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Hart, you have more questions, sir? You want it, Mr. Bowman?
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, these funds are not ARPA funds, are they?
No.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Any further questions? All right, we ready to vote, gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman, what's the motion again?
Is to deny, I'm sorry.
Yes, this motion
Mr.
is
Tucker
to
made
deny
the-
their request.
Yes. And did you want to add in there that if they needed money to come back later, or just
If they need additional funds, they will come before the board.
to ask for funds for
So
vaccine?
we'll have to deal with that issue down the road, is my understanding.
All right, that's the motion. We got a second by Mr. Dudley.
Yes, sir.
All right, no further discussion, then we're ready to vote. There's, you are. There's
Mr. Bowman?
ongoing.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries unanimous. All right, moving to item 6A. We have our VDOT Smart Scale Projects update. It's going to be Ms. Ragsdale. Welcome.
Good evening. Today I just want to come before you and give you an update on where the smart scale applications that we submitted August 1st to VDOT for their smart scale funding program, where they are in the process. We submitted 2 applications. One was for a signal light at the intersection of Route 41, Franklin Turnpike, and Orphanage Road. That project is still currently going through the process. It was screened in. We were allowed to submit a full application for that. So that is currently being reviewed by VDOT staff. VDOT staff signs off on it, and then it'll go before the Transportation Board. They will review it. If they decide that it meets all the qualifications and it scores high enough to receive full funding, that will become official when they adopt all of their funding in June. So we won't know until June whether or not that has actually received funding through the Smart Scale program. We also submitted a project for the median along Route 41, as well as roundabouts at the Mount Herman Circle intersection, the Ridgecrest intersection. That was screened out. It didn't score high enough for us to submit a full application. So while it's screened out of this cycle, VDOT has recommended that we do actually apply for funding in the next cycle, which won't be until 2026. So that is one of the projects that VDOT has recommended we put forward in 2026 for funding. We have given them additional projects to kind of look at whether or not they're feasible projects. Those are the intersection of Route 29 and Dry Fork Road. We have also given them the intersection of Mount Cross Road, Lanier's Mill, and Moorfield Bridge Road, where they all intersect. And then the intersection of 41 and R&L Smith Road. So they are currently looking at those and seeing if they feel that they would score well enough for us to submit pre-applications. Those would be due April 1st of 2026. So, Smart Scale is a 2-year process. So we're not able to resubmit applications again until 2026. So if you all have projects in your district that are on, heavily traveled roads in your district that you would like for us to look at, please let me know in the very near future so I can get with VDOT. It can be something as simple as warning signals. Mr. Ingram submitted one on 58 and Cascade Road, and that one received full funding. We did a turn lane expansion on 29 and Spring Garden Road that he submitted, and that received full funding. So it doesn't have to be major projects. Sometimes your smaller projects like that score better than you would think. So just kind of be brainstorming in the next month or so, and if there are any projects that you think may be good, let me know. I will get with VDOT. We'll figure out whether or not that meets all the criteria, and then we can move it along in the process if they feel it does. You have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Ragsdale?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Emily. That was great. So if this is the 2026 cycle, do we have to go through any more, and not that I'm against it, public hearings, public meetings, community meetings like we had this past summer over at the fire department?
So those community meetings were for the plan that was done for 41. So that's separate from Smart Scale.
Okay.
So we won't do anything exactly like that unless VDOT funds another plan on another corridor. During the Smart Scale process, once funding is approved by the Transportation Board and it moves into design and construction, VDOT is required to hold community meetings.
Okay.
So that was a similar meeting was held at Chatham High School about the improvements on 29 and 703. So that would be the next meeting in the process. We would not hold another public meeting until then. Now in 2026, the governing body, the Board of Supervisors, has to adopt a resolution if we are allowed to submit a full application for a project. So you all did that this year for the project that we submitted the full application for, and then also the diverging diamond that they are putting in on the bypass to connect to the 311 connector road. That project was actually submitted by West Piedmont, not the county. So that's why I'm not really giving you an update on that.
Sure.
As far as I know, that is still in the process, and it was not screened out. So you all did approve 2 resolutions for that. So that's an opportunity for the public to kind of come and speak, and we do have an opportunity for them to give input on that. But those are really the 2 opportunities that the public will have as we continue to move through the process and then go into the 2026 round.
Good. That's all I need. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Any further questions for Ms. Ragsdale? None? Thank you. Good job. Moving to item 7, do we have any business meeting discussions, Mr. Hunt?
No, we'll just add the VDH funding to the business meeting for y'all to vote on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Moving to item 8, Mr. Hunt, can you read us into closed session?
Yes, sir. We have one closed session this afternoon. Discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body. Legal authority, Virginia Code Section 2.23711A1. Subject matter, county administrator search / next steps. Purpose, review / discussion of related next steps.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion to go into close, sir.
Motion by Mr. Dudley,
Second.
second by Mr. Ingram. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, we're ready to vote.
Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
All right, motion carries unanimous. We'll go into closed session, gentlemen. Mr. Hunt, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Would you read us back into closed session, sir?
Yes, sir. We will now certify closed session. Be it resolved at the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors work session on September 17th, 2024, the board hereby certifies by recorded vote that to the best of each board member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion authorized in a closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. If any board member believes that there was a departure from the requirements of the Act, he shall so state prior to the vote indicating the substance of the departure. The statement shall be recorded in the board's minutes. I'll now do a roll call vote. Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Height?
Yes.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Mr. Dalton?
Yes.
The meeting's now certified. All right.
Need a motion to go back into open session?
No, here.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Ingram, second by Mr. Tucker. Any further discussion? If none, we're ready to vote.
I'm sorry.
It won't drop down, Kayla.
You want us to try the e-vote?
No, hold on just a second.
That's not working either.
No, mine's not working either.
All right, so we've certified. Are you going to take an action at this point? Or are you just going to adjourn?
Should be adjourned
Should
right
just
after.
adjourn.
There's
yes.
really no need for a vote. Yeah, just adjourn.
So you can, yeah, you just go ahead and adjourn.
Yeah, we don't need.
All right, at 6:15, adjourn.